Hi, this is Kristy with Guidepost Wellness, and today I want to talk about a topic that's probably fairly taboo to a lot of people. We joke about it, maybe talk about it in general, but when it comes down to really talking about what's a healthy bathroom habit with bowel movements, that's not something that most people really feel comfortable talking about. So when I grew up, it was something that we joked about. We had grouchy mopes and we had barking spiders, and I was the unfortunate one that always used to have to go check and make sure after my little brother went to the bathroom before he could flush the toilet. I had to do the inspection. So it was part of our life, but really to talk about what was healthy and what wasn't, we could talk about our dogs and our animals' bowel habits more than we would talk about our individual bowel habits. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because it's really an important subject. Everything that you ingest in your body has to come out, and if it doesn't, it can have deadly consequences. So my father had congestive heart failure, so he already had health issues. But it turned out that because he didn't want to talk about bowel habits and thought he just had, I just have a hemorrhoid or something like that, he ended up having internal bleeding that actually caused him to weaken his heart and eventually die. What happened with him is that, again, he saw the blood on the toilet paper and everything. He thought, it's no big deal. So he didn't tell anybody about it. But then when he went to the doctor, they determined that he was anemic, so they put him on an iron supplement. And if anybody's ever been on ferrous sulfate, the main iron supplement, well, it turns your stool black, and then you can't see that there was any blood in it. And so he didn't even really think about it. And then all of a sudden I get a call at work, and I was down staying with my parents while I worked in Savannah, and I get a call at work saying that if you can come home, please come home. Your dad's being admitted. He needs to have transfusions, and he ended up getting bags and bags of blood and everything, and it turns out that he had internal bleeding that had been going on for quite a while. And the trauma of the internal bleeding, all the testing, and believe it or not, when you get a lot of blood products, that is very hard on the body as well. He had platelets and whole blood, and what's the other one? I can't remember, but he had just probably double-digit bags of blood products, and all of that caused his heart to weaken. And about a month later, he actually passed away. So his lack of ability to talk about it had really deadly consequences for him. Now, on the flip side of that, my mother was always the exact opposite. She had adhesions and she had abdominal problems going on for a long time. And especially after my dad died, I don't know if it was because she was just making up for the fact that my dad didn't talk about it, my mother would share in graphic detail the problems that she was having, and the amount of products that she used, just all kinds of stuff. Even strangers she had no problems talking to about details about her bowel habits. And so when I started thinking about those two extremes just in my family, and as I became a health coach, I learned more and more and realized that constipation is actually a way of life for many Americans. And it's really just fascinating to me. Thankfully, that's never been a problem for me. But when you think about the commercials, the advertisements, and if you even go down those aisles and you see everything from fleet enemas and suppositories and hemorrhoid cream, and even the commercials for hemorrhoid cream, people are laughing at them, but they know that they suffer from some of those side effects and itchy butt and all those types of things. And people don't like to talk about that. But the fact of the matter is we eat 2,000 pounds of food, so I'm sure that's an awful lot of poop coming out the other end. And the thing is a lot of people don't go very regularly, and I never really considered that too much until I went and I spoke to a lady at a colonics spa, and she just talked about how she had people that would only go to the bathroom once every couple of weeks with her assistance by having water, much more water than in an enema, flushed up into her bowel and everything that would come back out. And to me that was just absolutely crazy. I think I'd much rather have my own time in the bathroom than having somebody else assist me by flushing things out. So that's what made me think about, well, maybe a lot of people don't even know how it should be when they go to the bathroom. You know, what is normal? A lot of people probably don't realize that taking a magazine, a book, or something like that, or having a lot of people have in their restrooms magazines, Reader's Digest, joke books, whatever, that really, if you're staying in the restroom long enough to read, then that means you do have some problems, probably some type of constipation or irregularity. For most of us, it shouldn't take much longer to go in and have a healthy bowel movement than to urinate. And that's not the way it is with a lot of people. So let's talk a little bit about what is normal. So there is a chart, that the Bristol stool chart, that I'm going to attach below, a link for that, so that you can kind of see what's normal as far as shape and consistency, and get an idea from that. So really it should be long and snake-like, and really just come on out with ease. You shouldn't have any straining or bearing down. I know that was one of the things that my mother had. She basically had no peristalsis and no ability to bear down, so she just literally had to sit and wait until everything kind of fell out. They now have things such as the potty stools and things that they've found that even just the angle that you sit at, squatting, I think it's called the squatty potty or something like that, by squatting, that actually aligns the colon and everything better to help evacuate the bowels much easier. But when you go to the bathroom, it should be snake-like. It shouldn't be hard. It shouldn't plop. All those types of things that many of us have probably experienced. You shouldn't have any type of straining, and believe it or not, this may sound crazy, but it shouldn't smell so bad that you have to light candles and it should run you out of the bathroom. Now there are times when you eat a higher protein meal or things like that it is a little bit normal to have a little more odor. But when you have really foul-smelling flatulence, and it is really, really awful smelling when you go to the bathroom, you have to light a candle, it lingers, that's telling you that there's something going on in your bowel, and it's probably something that you want to talk to somebody about. Now, I mentioned with my dad, color can matter as well. So obviously, if you have any bright red streaks, that's going to be more towards the end of the colon and the rectum area, but you still don't want that to occur for more than a day or two. If your stool's not more like just a kind of the colors of your food, just kind of like a muddy brown, maybe darker green if you eat a lot of leafy greens, then that can also indicate a problem. If your stool is really light color, that can indicate a problem with digesting fats. If your stool is black or looks like it has coffee grounds in it, that's really serious, because that's going to indicate that you do have some type of internal bleeding that's going on. So really everything about your bowel habits have an indication to your overall health. So I'm going to attach the Bristol stool chart so that you can see some pictures, so you kind of get an idea of where does your stool fall in there. The key thing is what's normal for you may actually be your norm. But I think it's if you're finding that you're straining, if you do have a lot of odor, if it looks greasy, that can be a sign that you're not absorbing your fats. If it's a really light color, any of those types of things, those are not healthy or normal for anyone, and you should definitely talk to somebody about it. If it changes, if you seem to have fairly normal bowel habits, and then all of a sudden for 3 or 4 days in a row, now you're straining, or now you have some other type of issues, then that's probably also a good time to want to talk to somebody about your healthy bowel habits. So I know that this isn't always a pleasant conversation, but there are people out there that are used to talking about it, and they aren't going to be offended or grossed out or act like a 12-year-old. Myself included, I talk to my clients and I ask them questions, and they're probably like, oh wow, okay, do I have to talk about this? Yes. What comes in our mouths must eventually go out, and it's a sign of the overall health of your body. So I really encourage you to take a look at what your normal is, so that you understand if there's any changes, that you don't just wait around like my dad did until it can cause long-term damage. You also to the opposite extreme. The issues that my mother was having weren't normal by any stretch of the imagination either. So make sure that you know what your normal is. If it changes after for 2 or 3 days and it doesn't go back to what it was before, definitely talk to somebody. If, as I mentioned, you have an unusual color, extremely dark, and you're not eating spinach or kale or something like that, if it looks like it has coffee grounds in it, if it's really light, those can all be causes for alarm. One thing I will let you know, if you do eat beets, that can definitely change the color. So don't be scared if all of a sudden you're like, oh no, my poop is dark red or something like that. Think if you were eating beets on a salad bar, pickled beets or something like that, that can definitely happen. But it's important to understand what is your normal, where is it really on the healthy bowel movement scale, and then talk to a professional, a health coach, a dietitian, your doctor, a nurse, somebody that is in the medical field that can help you determine what's more normal. And I'm going to be doing an additional series talking about some of those things. What are some things that you can do using whole foods, and how you can slowly increase your fiber, all those types of things that are going to help out so that you have healthier bowel habits as well. If you like this video, even if it wasn't about a topic that's one of your favorites, please feel free to subscribe and hit the notify button. Share it with anybody that you'd like to. I'm going to put some reference links down below. I also have some links for my blog, for my website if you're interested in signing up for health coaching. I do face-to-face in the Charlotte area, and I can also do remote health coaching, and you can sign up for a free consultation. So I look forward to talking to you again soon. Be well.